I'm Devin Kerr. This is Three Honest Lads. Get out of here with that stuff. You know better than that. What's going on, football-loving maniacs? For a lot of you, this is probably the first time that you're enjoying Three Honest Lads, and enjoy it you may, enjoy it you won't. We just hope that you have a little bit of fun and give you some proper entertainment. Now, we know things are frustrating in the world right now. We get it. We all feel your pain. So we're going to try and alleviate some of that a little bit and take a little jump back in time. I was out on the street rummaging through some garbage, and I found some friends of mine that I thought maybe I'd bring in and we could have a little fun and look at some old games. I'm just kidding. They're not really my friends. They are two really impressive coaches, two guys that when you speak their names around the USL Championship, they have the utmost respect. And I'll tell you what, the results speak for themselves. Let's bring in John Hackworth and Neill. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Delighted to be here, Devin. Unfortunate circumstances, but it's good to make the best of it, and delighted to watch this game back alongside John and hear his thoughts on it.
Same, just happy to be here. Hope we can all make this as entertaining as possible.
I will apologize ahead of time. Usually we have someone like Tyler Terrence. He's no longer with us, and I used to be the best looking one on the cast. That's not the case anymore. Now I got to deal with these gentlemen behind me, but that's okay. I'm willing to step aside. So I'll tell you what, we're going to jump back to their game. It was a 1-1 draw in April of 2019 in a game that had ridiculous tactics. There was passion. The crowd was all over the place. First and second half, they were two totally different things. So without further ado, here we go. I think one of the things you guys got to start off with is there are so many moving pieces coming into these games for these coaches. And I'm going to start off with John Hackworth, if that's okay. Hack, you guys had a laundry list of injuries coming your way. Kind of just walk me through guys that were on the bench and everything that you had to deal with and what led to team selection and especially being on the road.
Yeah, well, this was tough. I mean, we were coming off of 2 consecutive losses where we played good in both games and figured out a way to really lose both of those. So on top of that, we had a couple injuries, some key injuries: Luke Spencer, George Davis, Chris Hubbard, Brian Omby, Rich Ballard. I mean, these are significant and important players for us. So this preparation and kind of rejuggling our lineup and using different players in different spots was difficult.
You obviously have firsthand knowledge, not just being at the top of it, but being on the field in battle with these guys. Can you kind of walk me through the transition for you? Yes, it started in 18, but 2019, you get a full off season. You get to add some pieces to the team. What was that transition like for you? And what's the culture like with that locker room? Because Al Lang is a very difficult place to play in.
Yeah, I think Al Lang's difficult for visiting teams for many reasons, but I think equally it's difficult for us at times because players love to come and play there. John knows he's a Rowdies fan. It's a great environment for soccer. So when we've got to go in there, we always feel that they're going to give their best. But again, we're at home. We've got the fans behind us. Going on the road, the biggest thing for me was just getting a team that was fit for purpose on the roads. Guys that knew what it was like to travel. Guys that knew what it's like to play in different surfaces, different types of stadiums, not stadiums that are all, full houses. I think that's a big part of the league, and just get a bit more youthfulness and energy. And it was a big part of our recruitment heading into the 2019 season. And that was when actually our away form was probably better than our home form for the first part of the season. And we put a lot of emphasis on that, being hard to beat, not giving up too many goals. So that was down to mentality as well, but just getting players that were more suited to the league.
And John Hackworth, you guys, how do I say this? I mean it with the utmost respect. You didn't have that problem. I think it's easy for me to say you didn't have that problem, but you're a team that, and it's great to see around the league, everybody's starting to emulate in the sense of you're able to retain a core, add a piece. It was 11 one year, it was 15 another year. Off the top of my head, I believe you had 16 or 17 coming into the 2019 campaign. Number one, how do you keep all those guys, first and foremost? And number two, I get an opportunity to pick your brain. Tell everybody else, what is it like for you in terms of recruiting and making sure that you guys are able to get that culture part right with the player that you're bringing in?
Well, I think it's just something that our club has really tried to emphasize. We try to take care of our players in every way possible so that they can do their job to the best of their ability. That goes with how they're treated on and off, how they live, and how we play. It's no secret that our ownership group and our front office, has a passion for doing things the right way and honestly just trying to win as many games as possible. And that's what players want to, do. They want to play for championships. So thank goodness we've been able to do that. We brought 18 guys, to your point, back into this season, and that was really important for us, from a lot of different perspectives. But it does make it so much easier to have continuity in terms of ideas and what we want to do on the field when you have that many guys coming back.
Neill, I'm going to play off of what John Hackworth was going there, talk about continuity. We had a little joke about what play looked like during this game. Let's start with the opening 10 minutes so far. Guys on the front foot a little bit, and that's going to wax and wane as the game goes on. But for me, a playmaker that you guys went out and got in, and Andrew Tenari now, he's no longer there, but a 10 spot. When you guys like to get the wingbacks involved, you kind of have the best in both worlds where the guys can sit deep, but they have that offensive explosion. But Tenari in the middle of the field seemed like when he was healthy, he can push your team to another level.
Yeah, I think everyone that's seen Tenari around the league knows what he's capable of. He just struggled at times with injuries, and I think any player, when they're struggling with injuries, it's hard to get that momentum. This was one of the kind of games Tinney played, just a bit of magic that we expected. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get it consistently enough for him, but he's a fantastic player with all the ingredients at number 10. Fitness, touch, vision, speed, he can go by people one-on-one, so this was one of his better games for us, definitely. And, as we'll see in, I think, about a minute's time, a real piece of magic.
The little foreshadowing there. You're spot on. And just so the fans know, you'll see the clock is going to jump a little bit. The game is compressed to about 65 minutes. Just in terms of sponsorships and things going on, that was the way things worked out. So if you notice the clock jumping forward a little bit, don't worry. It's supposed to be planned that way, but keep an eye on the rotation that you're seeing right now. A little frustrating.
Devin, I just wanted to say that in my preparation to do this for the first time ever, you just took away two of my key talking points from moments of the game. So
bring them up. Tell me. Tell the fans.
No, I mean, Abdu had a sitter, okay? Yeah. And it's not on here. So I wanted to, it was the only bright thing I could talk about in the first half, by the way. And now I don't even have to talk about it.
It's not excuses, right?
No excuses, no excuses, but.
Well, I think in terms of, you referenced foreshadowing before, Neill, and something coming your way, that'll change for Louisville City in the second half as well. But I think that's something that really got me, I remember when this game was played last year, I wasn't on the call for it. And I remember going back and watching it and just how many chances there were. I mean, both goalkeepers were fantastic throughout the entire match. Ben Lunt was a bit more active in the first half, and John McCarthy pretty much stands on his head in the second half. But both netminders definitely showed up here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, again, there's many ways to dissect the game, and there's a lot of the first half that I'm very, very happy with. Again, that chance for Pap, Pap had many, many good games last year, was important for us, but never scored a goal off a set piece. And that's the kind of moment there that you go 1-0 up, and again, you need your centre-back scoring goals, and you're going to see the problems we get caused by the opposition centre-backs. Paco Craig, Sean Tosh, both the same, kind of have chances missed from set pieces, and they're like cheap goals, free goals that you can get, that we just never got enough of, and this game's a good example of that.
Thank goodness Diakate didn't score that one, or we would have been in a world of trouble after this next moment coming up here.
Yeah.
By the way, Neill, this is some wonderful ball team. I didn't like watching it, and as a opposing coach, but the ball movement is really exceptional here, and some of the movement off the ball equally is good.
No, I appreciate that, John. I think the players would feel certain satisfaction with this goal because it's off the kind of training field. Certainly this part, though, that's down to just pure talent.
Yeah, I think what most fans at home will recognize either is what John Hackworth is referencing, that ball movement. You guys actually start deep in your own defensive half. That ball originates switching from Andrew Tenari. He's on the near touchline right in front, starts to spear it the other way, and then you just watch his rotation, makes his way into the field. John Hackworth, was that something coming in? I mean, we talked about his playmaking ability, but he's kind of given again, as Neill says, when he's healthy, this license to roam and the freedom to go all over. Were you guys ready for that?
I mean, we looked at that and look, the movement of Tampa's 2 9s and their 10 is really exceptional. And that was something that we tried to prepare and train for. But then on that particular play, you just see them execute it so well. We did a poor job of it, but it was really executed at a high level by them in that moment.
I think John's right as well. Again, I think 9 times out of 10, you maybe want a bit more pressure on the ball, but you're probably quite happy. You're probably quite happy with someone hitting shots from there, by and large. But I feel after this, for the next 20 minutes, we probably have our best spell in the game. You know, like, I think we're a team that look like our tails are up. We've started the season well. Again, John's explained the situation they were with the injuries. You know, a little bit of uncertainty starting the season. This is where I feel that when you watch our play, there's confidence is up, but maybe just not enough belief to really go and take the game away from Louisville. And I think it comes back to haunt us. Because again, a team that's been champions and got the experience and players that they've got, you know, I think we kind of let them off the hook a little bit here. This is where good teams stay in games, and they managed to do that. But I think this is us. I'm confident for the next 20 minutes or so. I remember.
Yeah, and look, on the other side of it, Neill, I mean, you could kind of see we started well in this game early, and at around 10 minutes, our confidence level, you could see it kind of start to dwindle. And as you guys got a hold of the game more, and for sure off that goal, you know, we were just put back on our heels, and that's a really difficult thing to have a team do in a game, but within the early part of the season.
Neill, as this is playing out on the sideline and you get the 1-0 lead, what sort of directions are being dictated to the boys? I've had the luxury of being in between coaches and hearing all the instructions coming out. The fans don't get the same one. So you're up 1-0, but you've got so much momentum, but those chances aren't really come to fruition. What's being said to your coaching staff right now and to the boys on the sideline?
No, I think at this period, I'm happy. I think they're doing everything that we've asked in preparation for the game. You can tell. I mean, Leo has a great first half. We're getting into these spots. We're getting corners. We're getting set pieces. I'm just kind of trying to encourage more of the same. And you're always trying to keep an eye on the opposition in case they change anything to try and counteract what you're doing. And I'm just trying to encourage them to keep their foot on the gas, which we do relatively well, especially up to the 30-35 minute mark, I think. I mean, this was a point. My heart was in my mouth. I know that.
So as the fans will see, we've jumped forward. There is about a 10-minute spell where there's some chances, nothing overwhelming, but a couple opportunities for both teams back and forth. You jump to the 33rd minute, and Neill, we just saw your look. Are you concerned at all that you guys have kind of led them around, that you haven't put another one in the back?
I was concerned with that free kick because again, we're a new team with younger guys who have got a team 10 minutes before half time under the cosh, good position, and we try a kind of free kick that was just not the right time to do it, and we end up here actually. I think it goes out for a corner, and we end up nearly conceding the goal. And for me, that was the experience that this team needed to go through and feel the game. And yeah, I was definitely thinking at this point that we should maybe take a bit more of advantage. But look, I think I was definitely happy with the way the majority of things were gone. But from this point on, the set pieces were a major concern for us, and we had to make adjustments moving on after this game for the rest of the season because we just struggled so badly.
Oof.
That's McCarthy's first Superman save of the game, and this is the second one coming right back.
Yeah.
Interesting note, you see Oscar taking both those corners with opposite foot. And both of them, we got good chances out of it here. Second save.
Is that Taylor up in the middle? Yeah.
I think that's the thing again when you're playing a team with someone like Jimenez and his ability to deliver. If you don't defend those balls well, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, and it was a big problem for us. And the only goal, we'd only conceded one goal up to this point in the season, and it was a set piece. So it was definitely a weakness that we were aware of, that sometimes is, not as easy to solve depending on the personnel you've got, and it was definitely an issue for us.
There's like a, if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys have Louisville City. I think they start to counterpunch a little bit here. 6-7 minutes of sustained pressure. I remember both teams going back and forth right before the end of the half.
Yeah, we kind of got back into it here and finally kind of wrestled a little bit of momentum back into the game. And certainly the set piece delivery by Oscar, having two really good chances gives you a little bit more. But then, again, you see that kind of turnover, and that's just frustrating as a coach. Something we tried to address at halftime.
John, what's missing for you and your boys right now? 7 minutes to go, gotten back in. What are you not happy with?
Yeah, I'm not at this point. I'm glad we're back on, I would say, the front foot in terms of a little bit of possession. We've changed the point of attack here a couple of good times. We've kind of pinned Tampa back into a back five, which is not what obviously they wanted to do. But we still needed better communication. And the tough thing when you do, have guys starting in different spots is that some of that just basic information that needs to get exchanged between, for instance, Oscar and Lucky in this moment. We needed that information to be clearer, and we needed that relationship to be a little better, especially when we're trying to press an opponent like the Tampa team.
Neill, actually a little surprised that, in terms of his ability to step up into the middle a little bit, I'm surprised that I didn't see more of Damo Duro in this situation, the way that it was playing out, or excuse me, Jan Ecker in the middle. I thought maybe he might have been a bit more active and you would have asked more out of that.
I think Jan's a funny one. It's interesting because Tenari was always the guy that the people wanted to talk about, but I actually think Jan is a very quietly efficient game in this game. Jan's the kind of player that experience keeps things ticking along. He can drive by anyone in an instant with his power and his pace, and nearly steals the game for us in the second half. So Jan's someone, he only played 10 games for us last year, unfortunately, with injury. We only lost one of those games. I think we were always a better team with Jan Ekra in the team. So I think, for all his injury problems that Tenny had and someone that we didn't get enough out of, we really missed Jan Ekra. Just his balance that he brought us in there. He's a player that really caught my eye when I played against him, and I'm hoping this season that when we get back, we can keep him fit.
Hey, Neill, I agree with you. I think Jan's a really good player for you guys. I've always liked him myself. At the same time, I hope that if he does miss parts of the games, hopefully it's against us this season.
Sure you like that pass there, John?
Yeah.
That's a thrown cup of coffee, maybe a Danny Cruz, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's funny how at the end of this first half, we really kind of did go back and forth.
Yeah.
You see us have a couple of really good opportunities, and now we're on the back foot again.
I think like John makes great points about the players not having relationships that have played with each other, and I think that's the point we're at as a team. There's some good stuff. I think the goal shows that, but in those moments there where we have some good play, we don't really have the conviction. We're still working out just exactly, some of the movements, how to finish off some of those moves, and this game was a real big learning curve for us in many respects. That improved us a lot, because for some of our good play, it was obvious that we needed to get better.
Three minutes to go. Outside of what you've seen in play, is there any thought whatsoever, at least right now, that one of you is going to make a personnel change?
I'll let John go first on that one.
Yeah, I mean, our bench, like as an example, we have an academy player in our 18. Elijah is on the bench, and it's not that we didn't feel like we could make a change, but just we have guys on the field, and since we got a little bit momentum there, around the 30, between the 30th and 40th minute, I felt like if we could go back and get back into it, that we would be okay in the second half.
He's vocal, huh, Antoine?
Antoine is not shy to give his opinion on anything. And I think he's right in that moment. I think Paco had him, a handful of his jersey in that moment.
So, approaching the close of the first half, let's kind of run things out here. Rowdy's definitely the better momentum to start. You guys start going back and forth. Blue City jumps back in, and then again, like maybe 7-8 minutes to go. You don't want to say the game opens up, but it's definitely opened a bit more than it was in the opening 40 minutes or so. You're going into the locker room. Number one, did either one of you, and again, I'm letting the fans know what's coming, did either one of you think that this pace could continue?
I wanted it to continue. I wanted to try to keep as high tempo and high pace of game as possible. I think that's part of my philosophy of how I want us to play and how I want players to be pushed. Neill?
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, I think there's been some scrappy bits of play, but also I think this was a pretty high quality USL game. Good players, and I think John's right. We both want to play at a high tempo, which I think is why there's been end-to-end chances. Because again, in the Florida heat, it's hard for one team to sustain that for 90 minutes. There's going to be ebbs and flows, and that's definitely been the case. Definitely been the case here. And I think again, looking at where we were as a team, a new team, we do struggle to sustain not so much the energy, but they're able to concentrate and actually commit to everything that we're trying to do.
And Devin, I'll just add that, like, in our preparation for this game, we talked about it. It was always going to be a hard game. It was going to be a game that was fought from the first whistle to the last, and we needed the players to understand what it would look like. And that's something our guys do a really good job of. I think they thrive under the most competitive, environments. They enjoy it. But there is no doubt that this was going to be a really hard game.
And I think that's what we were exactly the same. And John said, I think coming off a couple of defeats, but again, coming back off the back of a championship, it's not too surprising. Sometimes teams got off to a slow start, but coming to a team that had started well, I had no doubt people like Paco Craig, Speedy Williams, they would want to be shown that, look, we're the champions for a reason. They wouldn't want to let us just run all over the top of them. So we were well prepped for a really tough game. And I think that's why we started so well, because the lads were ready for that. I think the next part was, as we're going to speak about, it was a big learning experience for us all.
You surprised at... I shouldn't say are you surprised. Let me phrase this differently. Were you guys concerned about fitness at all, given the fact that you're 5-6 games into the season? John, you're coming from a totally different climate. Neill had the luxury of the humidity of Florida, but you've been through preseasons like that. What was that like for you guys, overall conditioning?
Yeah, I would say that for me, there was just maybe one spot, and it was that right wing back spot again that was an issue. Everyone else I was generally happy with, like how they would cope with the 90 minutes and their fitness. But that was an issue all season for us, especially when Malik was injured. Sean Barry couldn't really play at that level for 90 minutes, and then that's one of the reasons David Najim didn't start, because we knew he couldn't get 90. So that was one of the only issues for us from that point of view.
Devin, a little bit different for us. I mean, we're a team that we try to have a physical periodization plan where we know we're going to rotate rosters. We're going to call on different guys. And so our expectation was that, every guy, even guys that hadn't played a lot up to this point, needed to be ready to go 90. Now, there's a massive difference between being ready and actually doing it. But from a fitness standpoint, I was at least pleased with the level of our team. And that's why we ended up, making some decisions in the lineup that we did.
I think we're already seeing that. I mean, look, 90 seconds into the second half, and Louisville City starting to press a little bit here. So take me through. I'm going to do both of you here. Let's start with John Hackworth. Coach, I'm in the locker room. What's said at halftime here? Because to your point, team was up and down a little bit, moved your way back in, but you guys come out with a force to be reckoned with, high tempo. What words were said to the boys?
Well, I went back through my notes and time speech pretty well.
This is PG-13, by the way.
What's that?
This is PG-13, by the way, so easy.
I know I'm going to try to keep it that way. So I can't use the expletives that I use in the locker room, but I was basically trying to get our team to be ourselves. You know, we didn't look ourselves. We didn't have the confidence. And as a football player, you need to enjoy what you do, and you need to play that way. And I think that was the biggest message we had. There's another McCarthy save, phenomenal, by the way. Well, our biggest message, Devin, was to try to make sure that we got back to our roots, that we wanted to play a certain way. We wanted our players to be, you know, we always talk about them being comfortable on the ball and love having the ball. And we just wanted to see that confidence come back out in them.
Yeah, it's interesting that, John, because the way I see the second half is that, you know, your guys definitely came out, took more care on it, just took their composure up a level, started having the confidence to play. And I think us, on the other hand, who kind of became too tentative, we just became a little bit, you know, we backed off, you know, and as soon as you back off a team that's going to have the confidence to play, that's why we get pinned in a lot more. And a big thing for us coming out of this game was, just like John said, you've got to stick to what you're trying to do. You know, you're much better failing sticking to what you're trying to do than failing by being in between. And we ended up being in between in the second half, and our keeper kept us in the game. We missed a couple of great opportunities, but we just didn't do ourselves justice in the second half. And same on the ball, our composure left us that we'd had in the first half. So it's definitely a tale of two halves for us.
This is an area that scared us, Evan, because we knew Tampa was so good on restarts. So we tried to repair and be better in our defending of these set pieces. For this game, with the exception of Diakate getting that free header in the first half, and some really good service by both Tenari and Leo Fernandez. For the most part, I felt like we did a better job defending our restarts in this game. And a big credit to Danny Cruz. He does all that work for our staff.
Yeah, I've witnessed you guys firsthand not even going through the motions, just how much effort you guys put into set pieces. Was that something that, obviously you have a long relationship with Danny, was that something you knew you would utilize him for once you brought him in?
Not really. I mean, but, he does such a good job with it. And, it was easy to see when we started working together that he's passionate in everything he does. But specifically, when I handed this responsibility to him, he just did such a great job, communicated it so well, and helped me, communicate it to our players as well.
Let me ask you guys this, because you're obviously reacting to the gameplay. There are other coaches that I speak with that they'll talk about dictated plays, subs. I'm not going to name names out of trust, but I've had conversations with guys coming out of the dressing room going, we are making a change at the 60th minute. We are making a change at the 65th minute. Is that something you guys ever consider?
I've never done that in a league game. Never. In pre-season games, of course, but never in a league game that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm the same, Devin. I always believe that you have to react to and make decisions based on what's happening, what you think that you can take advantage of your opponent. And those decisions are always, in game and in a moment. I know coaches that script it out some, and I understand it and have done it when I'm trying to manage minutes for players. But besides that, especially when you're playing in a game like this where we really needed a result, we always had to base our decisions on what we were seeing in game.
Neill, you're getting ready to pull the trigger here. Sean's going to come off, Sean Barry. David Najib is going to come back in. He was someone that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was actually the previous game. He was coming back from his injury, comes on, and with something like 63 seconds, stuck one into the back of the net. So walk me through that change.
Yeah, again, I think like John says, you're reacting to the game. I wasn't enjoying the start of the second half. And David Najum, I mean, he's a quality player, and he definitely brings a little bit of energy, but also a bit of composure on the ball. So he was someone, again, we were trying to get back from a serious injury, cruciate, and the previous game had been he's come back and he was looking great, his confidence was up. He wasn't ready to start, but this was a good opportunity to get him in. Again, if someone like Malik had been available, he'd have been a great option to try and take us up the park with his dribbling ability. But Najum was a change that I thought would inject a bit of energy, but also a lot of bit of composure on the ball. I think he actually has one great delivery that I think Hops should probably score off. So Naj is someone that when he's fully fit is as good as anyone in that position.
We saw watching this back over, we saw the Tenari movement on the goal, the team movement in general. Obviously, he's going to get the highlights. But there's a ball here for me that, if it's not the best ball in the game, it's got to be the second best ball. Neill McCabe's actually going to drop off in about 40 seconds here. And he puts one on an absolute rope through to Abdou Sham up top. How much freedom, John, do you give Neill? Obviously, it's going to depend on the opponent, but he'll play the 6, he'll play the 8, the 7, the 11. He can pretty much do everything. How much freedom at this point in time are you giving him?
Yeah, a ton. He certainly has deserved that with his play and his consistency. As a philosophy, we want everybody to feel like they have the ability to make any pass, any decision at any time. That's, in my opinion, how you build players that believe in themselves and have confidence to make difficult passes. And, Niall's a perfect example of that. I know the pass you're talking about, and, I love when he hits it. Would have loved to have finished it, but here we go.
This ball. What a ball. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, Neill McCabe's again a player that, as John says, he's played everywhere. When you watch Louisville playing left one week, centre the next week, right, just an absolute dream for a coach to have a player like that and he's active in all those positions.
The way that the game's going, Neill, right now, with Diakite starting, it gets spread a little bit, some space is opening up. I know that Tarek Moore and Caleb Richards, they were given the freedom to press as well. How much space on the back line is opening up, and on the sideline you're going, we have a problem?
I mean, again, look there, that for me, that was the save of the game there, because that 9 times out of 10, Lucky goes through and scores that. And that was, again, just a basic error from Caleb. And I'll be honest to say, it was probably one of the only errors the young boy made all season. He was fantastic. He was Mr. Consistent. But we go down the other end and nearly score. For me, that should be a goal. So we should have lost one at one end and then we should have scored at the other end. But I just feel, again, as I said, it was a big learning curve for us as a team. We kind of stopped doing the basics in the final third. We were getting in good spots and turning it over. And then we were just becoming, dragged out, and Louisville were starting to pick us off. But again, that was off a pure mistake that was very unlike Caleb. He was fantastic. He was probably second only to Seba Gonzati as one of our players of the season.
How funny would it have been if both of those guys would have scored those goals? Maybe we would have had a different situation in regard to the trade.
I mean, exactly, John. And here's the thing. Now I'm trying to freshen it up again, bringing on energy, someone to hold the ball up, and Hops could easily have made that 2-0. Lucky could have made it 1-0. And that's such a fine line. We talk tactics all we want, but you're talking fine lines, change games, and can change moments for players as well.
I agree. I always try to talk about these moments that are so important that you can never take for granted any single one, because you never know what's going to happen as a result of them.
I mean, Devin, there you asked a question about the gameplay and how we're adjusting, but you can't legislate for likes of Caleb, again, who was so solid, to just miss a clearance, and then all of a sudden it could have been 1-1 and then we would have been on our backs on our feet. Instead, John makes the save and keeps us in with a good chance of winning the game. But that's the thing that where players obviously need to concentrate, especially defenders. And that's why the good defenders people like Pack or Craig have been so good is because their concentration levels are so high.
We don't have to worry about the game jumping anymore. The last 20 minutes is insane. It just, the pace, again, watching it back, I couldn't believe how this just continued on for both teams. And obviously, you guys are kind of clinging right now, Neill, but I want to talk about Juan Tejada for a second, because he's someone who I've been very impressed with since you picked him up. And people would say a stereotype like, oh, he's a thorn in the side, or he's a spark plug or something like that. Eckerd College isn't exactly a powerhouse that people think of when it comes to college soccer. My brother actually played there in the early 90s under Jim DeNoble. And when I saw him, I went, oh, wow, Triton. Obviously, he's local for you guys, but how does he end up on your radar, and how does he end up a Rowdy?
Try and keep it short. But he played for the local college, but also played for the Lakeland Tropics, in what's now called USL2. Caught my eye immediately when I went to watch them. His energy, and he came to our combine in last December, and you got to take your hat off to Juan. It's his attitude, his professionalism, his willingness to learn, his willingness to keep himself fit. Every hurdle that we put in front of him, he climbed over. Again, I tried to protect him a little bit early in the season and give people like Brandon Allen and Antoine chances, but really he started the season, had a man of the match performance at Memphis, and then I just held him back a little bit. I didn't want to ask too much of him too soon. But after this game, he comes into the team and he never really looks back from that point in time. And I'll be honest and say I think he's still underestimated as a player, because towards the end of last season, the season took its toll on him. He went away with Panama, played games where he shouldn't have, and got injured. And I think we'll see a new and improved Juan Tejada when we eventually get back playing.
Hey, Devin, I love the fact that you brought up Jim DeNoble. He's a good friend of mine. And great job, was at Eckerd for such a long time. Great shout. Good to hear his name. Jim
DeNoble, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but I remember going down the rabbit hole one day. Didn't he win an Open Cup in like the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, St. Pete Kickers, my team. Yeah, good times there as well.
Funny, you go through, people see the players and they see the coaches, and they'll hear whoever the commentators are. Again, I wasn't on this game, but there's so many interesting relationships behind the scenes. One of those rabbit holes, I was doing the Charleston Battery game, and I was prepping, and one of the players was Nico Rittmeyer. Long story short, you go from Nico Rittmeyer under Enhauser at the Charleston Battery. You go to UNC, where he played under Carlos Samuano. Samuano actually played for Jim DeNoble in the early 90s, and it's funny, you would never put all those pieces together. But then as the rabbit hole starts going, you go, oh, I know that person, and it's fun little circle.
Yeah, I mean, Carlos and I did our C license together way back in the day. And I knew he was, coaching at the Countryside Lightning at the time. Jim's now with the Clearwater Chargers. Jim was one of my goalkeeper coaches at USF when I was the head coach there. Neill mentioned it, earlier, that I'm born and raised in Tampa Bay area, and he was kind enough to give me 20 tickets to my family. So when you ever see behind our bench, that's my whole family sitting there.
Oh, wow. You made him pay for the adult waters after the game, Neill, because of the score?
Oh, I let John time with his family. He's always been kind enough to invite me in when he's had us in Louisville, one of the most hospitable teams that we've come across. So I think that's the way it should be. You're on the side, you want to beat each other, you're desperate for 3 points, but at the end of the game, you're both trying to do the same thing. And it's great to be able to have a chat, and you're both, again, walking in the same shoes effectively. So John's been a huge influence in terms of just for a young coach, giving me the time, and always get a nice word to say, which means a lot.
I always go back to Alex Ferguson's message: when you win, you deserve it, and when you lose, you need it.
I think again, looking at this game, and I didn't enjoy the second half. I'm sure you have games, John, when you're on the sideline and you're not enjoying it. But I do remember getting to this point, feeling that we'd kind of weathered it, and again we hadn't lost a goal in open play. And I felt if we could see off set pieces as poor as we'd been in the second half, I thought we'd kind of stopped giving up chances, and I kind of felt, right, we might be able to see this out. I thought we'd maybe weathered the storm. We started the game became a bit more scrappy, a bit less free flowing, as much as Louisville were dominating a lot of possession. But I thought, getting close to the finish line might see us across. But as we'll see, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, we had switched into basically a 3-5-2 here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, for a little while, I thought that gave you a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And it also gave, anytime you change a formation, you're now pressing in a different way. You're defending in a different way.
That's
You're in a
right.
different spot. So we had a difficult time. While I thought it presented you guys with some problems, we were trying to kind of struggle in there in those last few minutes dealing with it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing, is getting players to realise when there's a change. You tell them all the information beforehand, but if something comes up differently, can they make the adjustment how to press if there's a slight difference? And that's definitely where experienced teams that have got continuity are able to just adjust, and that's where I've always been impressed again with the Louisville team. They're able to sense a game and then adjust. And that's not just down to the players, that's down to the freedom that the coaches give them, and just the whole culture that they've got.
John, with that switch that you're talking about, and again, we're only privy to certain angles right now, why Taylor into the middle and Sean to the right and not vice versa?
Just because we were a little worried about Tampa's pace, and Taylor's, probably one of the fastest defenders in the league. So that's the reason we did it. Also, Sean had played right, left, and center, obviously. Sean's another player that has so much versatility, and like Neill McCabe, is lined up in so many different spots for us.
Sean Tosh, for me, is probably one of those players, again, that's underestimated in the league. He doesn't get some of the accolades that other players get, but having played against him and coached against him, I mean, he's exactly what you want a centre back to be: really reliable, really consistent, better with the ball than some people probably give him credit for. Really good defender. Sean's one of the reasons that, for me, that Louisville was so successful.
I agree, and I've depended on him in a huge way in my time here, and I will probably continue to do that. He is comfortable on the ball. I think he is probably the guy in the league that wins the most critical moments.
Yeah.
Certainly for us, he does.
Yeah.
Where's the next step for him, Neill? What's the next step for him in terms of overall play and where his game has to go to get better? Because speed's there, he's scrappy. Is it dropping down into a type of false nine right down in the middle and becoming a playmaker?
No, definitely not. Again, someone that is obviously working with Juan day in, day out. This boy can score goals. When we had him in Combine, his energy was great. He was great in the big field. I wasn't sure what quality he had. He played 7-a-side one day in the Combine, and he just showed left, right foot. So for me, he's going to be an out-and-out 9. He's going to be a goal scorer. And again, it's just about giving him the environment to succeed, because he's got the attitude, he's got the desire, and then just fine-tuning a couple of bits of his game. And again, for me, just in the US, it's just about getting games. There's not enough players that play enough games. You look through people's careers, and if they've got over 100 games, they're probably close to 28, 29 years old. I just want to get these guys games, give them as many opportunities to improve. I'd love to take the credit for improving all these guys, but the game improves them, I think, the most, and the experience. That's why we improved as a team from this game, because we dealt with things that we hadn't had to deal with prior. This was the chance that I thought had sealed the game.
Yeah, I'm glad Jan missed that one.
Yeah.
This catches, I'm not mistaken, this nicks the outside of the post here too. Ben's beat.
Yeah, I think this was, again, one of the only bits of play where we connected a few passes. Great pass from Tinney. And again, he just catches the outside of the post. We would have taken it 2-0 after our second half performance, but It was he did pretty much everything right.
John, 83rd minute, sorry, 84th minute, no changes yet. And I looked down through the team sheet again, and I think a lot of people go, well, why is he making a sub? Obviously, you're going to make one right now with Napo Masoso coming on. But in terms of personnel, I'm looking at everybody. It's obviously Dobrovolsky. It's not going to happen, goalkeeper. It's not going to be Pat. Elijah, at this point in time, he probably, if this wasn't his first game on the bench, he must have been just like right there, not really getting regular opportunities. So you basically had Sonny and Napo, if I'm not mistaken. Why Napo and why not until the 86th minute?
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at it, and we felt, number one, good about the guys that were on the field, the way we started the second half and the way we continued it. It's unnecessary. I think coaches sometimes make changes just for the sake of making changes. When your players are executing and doing things at a high level, it's unnecessary. In this case, I think this is Napo's debut, if I'm not mistaken, and he's such a good player. And it was a critical, we made another little change here when we brought him on, went to a different kind of 3-5-2, and that was just important because he again is a versatile player, and really happy for him personally because of what this was his first debut, but he ended up being such an important player for us the rest of the year and this year as well.
I'm going to jump ahead before the goal. Did you already have the idea that you were going to bring Sonny on for Lucky, or is it because you get the equalizer?
It's because we got the equalizer, to be fair. And we had changed into try and go so attacking at that moment. And to his credit, I mean, Lucky has worked so hard in this game, and he's done it in a position that's not natural to him. And so, some of the communication that I was referring to between him and Oscar, it wasn't either one of their faults, but Lucky ends up doing so much running in this game. So part of that is just trying to make sure we're bringing on a piece, go back to a more natural kind of formation for ourselves and see if we can get back and secure the result at that point.
In terms of scrambling, a follow-up on that, and then I have one for Neill. Wow, what a chance.
See that there, that's like my previous assistant Matt Patterson, who was a striker, his biggest bugbear, why he didn't head it. That was something that used to drive him mad. It's like a dying art, heading the ball. And there, Seb, I mean, he's been fantastic for us, but that was a great opportunity, a great delivery.
John, is this a precursor for you guys? Obviously, the players are different, but for the Eastern Conference final against Indy, you moved a lot of pieces. You plugged and played. You guys pushed and almost you get the goal, and it's like, oh no, now what? Because you were so offensive-minded. Did this have any kind of resonate in your mind when you went through that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first of what ended up being 13 matches for us last year where we come from behind. You don't really want to do that, but the fact that we did it 13 times, I think we won 8 and drew 5. That's an amazing stat. I think it speaks volumes about the character and resilience of these men and what they're, they never say die. And this game was so important to build on that throughout the rest of the season.
Neill, 3 minutes to go. Are you worried?
Again, I'm not happy with the performance. I don't think we maybe deserve to be in this position, but no, but then now I am. It's just, as a centre back, it's your worst nightmare watching that.
And conversely, I'm thinking, thank God. I thought nothing was going to get by McCarthy the whole time. And I was just thinking that the soccer gods were not going to be kind to me this whole season. And this gave me a little bit of hope. It's nice when you have a player like Maggie who is so creative and just pulls something out of nothing there. And then Abdu getting the finish on it.
Do you think you can steal here, John? Do you think you can go get one?
Yeah, but at the
but
same
you're happy
time,
with the 1-1.
Well, I'm thinking, thank goodness at this point. This is, in my opinion, well-deserved, and it's been such a hard game, and we've put so much into it, and we've played, we're in this we went 4-4-2, then we went 3-5-2, then we changed the 3-5-2, and now we're just trying to give ourselves back to a more of the 4-3-3 that we're most comfortable playing out of.
Neill, is that, or I should say, was that, again, when everybody's healthy, if you had your way, Juan, Seba, Andrew, is that the most dangerous, I'll say, front three, if you will, the way that you guys set up?
Yeah, I think at that stage definitely was our strongest three. It was just unfortunate. I don't think we got this team out in the field very often, if at all. I think I mentioned Jan didn't play a lot. Tanari didn't play a lot. So that three was definitely a three that I would like to have seen more of together. But it's just not reality. I think every coach is the same. You put a squad together, you've got an idea of who you'd like out there, but no doubt one guy comes back from injury and another guy picks one up. That's why you have a strong squad and you need depth.
And Devin, going back to your previous question, I mean, I'm self-critical. I always try to reflect after a game. I think when we go back and I take Lucky off the field, we've been in such a good way with playing with 2 9s with Abdu and Lucky up there. I think, just being critical, I don't think that was the best decision. I think I should have left it.
Well, talking of decisions like that, I mean, I bring on Leon here to try and help us in case there's another set piece, because he's excellent. He's excellent in the air defending the box, but he's equally excellent at giving fouls away. And he ends up giving a foul away, and we have to defend another set piece. They're doing exactly that. So I'm cursing myself at this moment in time, thinking if there's a goal off a set piece here, it's on me.
Yeah, it's always the decisions and the fine line between being right and being, the village idiot is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking standing there.
Neill, when I say I feel your pain, brother, I've felt it for a long time, and I just hope I feel it over and over again. That means I'm still coaching.
That's true.
And the way the ball was falling, rewatching this, obviously we knew the scoreline. I thought that was going to drop for Magnus again. It's 1-1, but just it was the goal, it was the touches before, and I'm like, this thing's going to fall to him.
Yeah, you don't want the ball falling to him around about the 18-yard box.
So that's that. Let's talk for a sec. What did you guys learn? Neill, I'll start with you. You leave the game. You talked about the overall effects, the philosophies that you guys put into place for the rest of the 2019 season. Maybe it's one game, maybe it's a couple games.
This helped us. This helped us massively. I think we went on a really good run after this game because we showed enough that if we do what we are trying to do, we can have success. But we've got to buy into it for 100% of the time, and we can't be too tentative and coming off it. And I think it showed us that against a good team, if you do step off it, they're going to step on you. And I was disappointed at the end of the night, giving up the goal and not playing so well. But actually looking at our results after that, we really went on a good run of form, and this game made us better because it showed us that if we really impart what we want to do, again we can have success. And
John, same question.
It was emphasising that to the players afterwards. It was the big thing.
Sorry to step on you, Neill.
No problem.
Yeah, I thought this game, and in particular the way we played in the second half, going back to that halftime talk, which the players had a lot of input. I try to ask the players their feedback, what they're seeing on the field, and it's something that as a group of people in that locker room, we felt like we were so much better than what we were doing on the field in the first half. But you look at our next 2 games. We play Ottawa, which was a really good team at that point in the year, and get a result, 1-0 victory here at home. And then the following game we play Memphis, and again win a 1-goal game. We beat them 2-1. So two really important results after this game. Probably more important is that we had that belief that we could, change a system midway through a half and, find success, and guys understood the roles and how it changed in game sometimes.
Another question. I'll stay with John Hackworth and then we'll follow to Neill. John, biggest regret? Something that you can look back on, and I think it's easy for people to go, oh, they didn't win the championship. What's the biggest regret of something that you and your coaching staff got wrong that you guys have learned from?
That's a long list, Devin. I think in I don't want to make it a trivial answer, but when you're a coach, you end up, doing so many things and having a process, and you work so hard, but you have to make some key, very, important decisions, and you understand that you're not getting them all. You're not going to get all of those right. So sometimes it's a personnel decision. Sometimes it's a holistic management decision. I mean, for us in this season, I think that our key takeaway from our staff would have been that we didn't prepare for teams that maybe weren't as highly touted as the Tampa team, because we didn't perform at the same level. I mean, to look back through our results and you see some of our games, whether it was against Swope Park, Bethlehem Steel, and games that we probably just didn't give the right respect to our opponent and their staffs.
Obviously, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, but in a perfect world, we were still playing. Obviously, we only got week one. What's the biggest difference? And we'll start with Neill this time. What's the biggest difference for a Rowdies fan that they're going to see out of the squad that you've assembled this year compared to 2019?
The thing is, again, Devin, you put a squad together with all these things in mind and I'm always saying that the differences are what they see on the field, not what I think they're going to be. It's what, and what I've seen so far in training and in games, in our first game, is probably a little bit more resilience. That's nothing knocking against the team that we had last year, but I think we've added some characters that I think will give us that mentality where, we can perform, and when we're at our best, great, but just the ability to just dig in those tough moments. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I think we've got. Again, I learned a lot last year. It was my first full season, and it is a fine line at times, and you want kind of guys that can make those fine lines go for you more than against you. And I think there's guys out there that do that, and I think we've added a couple. But we're all just eager to get back playing and seeing them out there.
One of the questions, a couple came through. We were kind of cruising along there. One of the questions that was asked, and it actually came from an honest lad, Tyler Terrens. He wants to know, who picks your guys' wardrobe on the sidelines?
Neill, you go first.
You want me to go first? Well, I'm going to give my wife the credit for that, So she can either take the credit or take the stick. Whatever people think of my outfit, it's on her shoulders.
Yeah, we have a whole staff here that has to pick my wardrobe, so it's a big process here at Lou City. Totally joking. It's me, myself, and I. My wife certainly has a great input into it, but I don't know whether it's good or bad. It's just what I'm comfortable wearing.
Well, gentlemen, before we sign off, I want to say thank you very much. I know your time is valuable. I know there's so many things going on in the world, and for you to take some time out of your busy schedules, we're beyond grateful. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cheers, boys. And for all you football-loving maniacs, we hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, we don't care. Just kidding. Send us your reviews. Send us your questions. Happy to answer anything you want. Heck, what do you know? Maybe Hack will be kind enough to let you pick out a shirt, or Neill, you can pick out his boots. We never know. Until then, see ya.